So this is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. It's been released recently for the PS5. We have artists that showed in-depth breakdowns on Artstation recently. So this is the Shanghai level, and we're gonna get started by looking into how this was made. Okay, so here we are from Artstation. I created the board on PureRef, and let's look into the work of the first artist. So his name is Vytautas Katarzis. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, uh, but we have some very interesting information that you should read, that you should study. They were very generous with the information, the level of detail that is shown here is very impressive. So let's get started. This is the artist who worked in the Shanghai level. So we can see first module breakdown. So only a handful of unique modules used, easy to create small structures by simply rotating corners elements. So, well, it's divided for our for making it very easy to understand. So you see that of course everything this is very symmetrical. So it's just been reused. It's a 90-degree corner, and then it's reused to create this module. And you can see that there's a corner. Probably they did two different corners, or is nah, this is the similar. So this is really one corner reused here, and the middle part, middle piece right here. So we can go on and see more details, more breakdowns. So you see how the modules are done, the walls, the, the trims, everything is very clearly shown. This is an amazing, amazing shot. So you see the wall on the side. You even see this, and I'm sure this is exactly how it is in their engine. The wall is clipping, sorry, the roof is clipping through the wall, which is typical because these ornamented, like highly decorated, complex geometry roofs, you don't cut them like super straight so that it fits exactly when it breaches. It's a one, not one size fits all exactly, but it's like the best way to use this is to have a part that is reusable in many different angles and context. So this is why you end up with stuff like that you shouldn't be seeing, right? But now that we see the behind the scene, we actually get to see that. So this is perfectly normal. So if in your environments you have these things, it happens in game production. Don't worry about it. Now you see all those little intricate wood details, the trims, the decoration on the side, then the top part under the roof, the windows, then the little balcony here, and the first floor. So most likely this part is reused here. And of course, these parts are reused. And then you have a silhouette of a character to show the scale. It's just perfect. It's amazing. We're so lucky and so grateful to Machine Games and the artists. And I should say probably Lucasfilm and Bethesda. Let's be corporate all the way. But no, seriously, it's really really beneficial for artists. It's amazing. So here we see the assembled kit, the kit used in real context. And you can see, of course, again with the scale, with the silhouette here. And you see, I'm not going to say there's not that many pieces, but you can see that it's still a low number that's been reused. And, this is kind of a complex architectural feature here, this roof. It's not so simple. So it probably took some time to figure out exactly how to divide it, how to cut the pieces, and then get to work. So this is great. This is like the finished product somehow. Now we can dig a little deeper. So this is one part of the roof. So these trims and tiling geo were assembled straight, then bent into wanted shape via modifiers and soft selection. So this is great for students, for young artists to understand that unwraps and I mean I would say like assets in general, you want to unwrap straight. Okay, even cylindrical, even bent, even complex shapes, the best result would be always to have straight geometry. And then when it's unwrapped and when it's reading very well and flowing well on the geometry, then you bend it afterwards. This is great. This is really great. So you see the complete piece right here, and then you see how it was assembled. And this is great because honestly, this can give a lot of headaches to an inexperienced artist. Like, it doesn't look like much, right? As long as you have the, now, we're not even talking about having a realistic looking uh, roof of this nature. Not even that. Just a basic geo for a level artist. It might seem straightforward, but it's quite tricky to get it right. And we are shown here with, we cannot really see from the angle, but it has a lot of ornaments and details. So now here we see how it was done, and that's great. That's so amazing to have access to that. You see small pieces all assembled so that we have a very complex shape, I would say almost effortlessly, right? This is just amazing. Thank you so much to the artist and the studio for allowing them to post that, right? This is another amazing example. Um, for anyone who's familiar with trims, trim sheets and trims. Trims is like the geo version of it's using most likely trim sheets, right? And then you see how it's all assembled together, because to get those complex shape, and if you pay attention, it yeah, it's quite optimized, right? It's not a high poly, but from a distance it reads very well. Same for every single instance of that shape. Um, but you see that the material, you can see, of course, with the geo that, okay, now there's like an angle, a slight angle, but from a distance, it reads very, very well. It flows very well on the geometry. Same here, which has way more geometry, even with the, but probably this was built this way, right? It was not bent afterwards. I would be surprised this part here. This part, probably it was straight and then bent. This is what I believe, but I could be wrong. But we see here like the basic, actually we have the answer right here. This one also. So everything was made completely straight in order to have better control on the tiling, on the unwraps. And then it was applied to this geometry with modifiers. It was bent. It's really amazing. And then you see blending between two tiling texture sets. So this is very common. This is what you learn in school, and this is one of the basis of game production, environment production, is having blend texture and using vertex painting, vertex alpha, however you call it. It's really, really powerful, and each mesh that is not an instance can look slightly different, right? You use the broken and damaged and wear and tear here and the clean version, and then you decide how you want to distribute it, and then you add a decal here for further decoration and variation. So you see that the trims here are also, you can play with them in any angle and any shape. So, well, actually this was, yeah, this is the same, right? But this is more complex geometry. This is like such a complete explanation of how this environment was built, right? We could actually just show this one. So you have the tiling textures, vertex paint to make it look unique. You have geo decals, right? So you can make them, I mean, as many decals, and usually a decal would be an atlas, right? So you have many of those, so you can vary, and it doesn't cost much. And you see that they have these ornamentation, those patterns, and that's great for variation, for helping that, you know, not everything looks the same. And then you have the same principle of the trim, and we get to see the end corner additionally. So, you know, you could basically copy and paste or stack those walls, and then you need this little piece here to have a corner right here. So that's great. That's such an amazing, visually this is super clear, super easy to understand. It's fabulous. Now let's get to the wood. So it's pretty much the same ideas, but combining trims, tilables, and baked add-ons, because the wood needed the wood variation, and breaking the super hard lines, the super hard edges, necessitated some baked geometry, which could be here, could be, you know, usually wood. You could use weighted normals, you could use edge decals, you could use a bunch of stuff, but combining that, I mean, if it's a very repetitive or you need tons of it, which is the case, you might want to bake some at least. Maybe not many, but you definitely need to bake some. So that is great. You see those small pieces were like, those are kits. And then once you have the complete kit, you can go ahead and build with lots of details. And that is really, really cool. So tilables, bake add-ons, and combining trims. So moving on, more wood, but then with the windows. Reusing bunch of baked parts by rotating and shifting position works well with destruction. So yeah, as much reuse as they can. And then we see some of probably the baked parts, which were done most likely in ZBrush. And, you know, some, this is not actually destruction. It, well, yeah, it's not destruction, but wear and tear. And it goes in with these, where are they? These little guys here, so that you can fit. And this is how windows panels are built, and windows here is the same. So yeah, you have a mix and match of all those techniques. And then you have a little bit more. That's great. We have the whole trim here, baked down trims, tiling texture right here, and unique add-ons, part of trim set. So of course they use all the, wouldn't call it the common, but all the basic techniques to maximize the visual, to maximize the amount of detail, the quality, the resolution, and still keep it realistic on the performance level. Reuse as much as possible and build by small parts like this. So again, now we move on to the damage and destruction. Baked damage bits, part of kit bash set. So this is, let's read the whole thing. Reuse baked parts to create multiple variation. That's the same here. And you see that additionally to the clean ones, they have broken, destroyed parts, because there's a lot of destruction in this level. And you have the glass part, you have the wood, all these pieces have to be, there is a version that is cut and broken. So this is very interesting. Now let's move on here. Models made out of trims and baked elements. Well, you see a pattern repeating itself, right? But it's like, we appreciate talking to the artists here. Please keep on posting as much information as possible. This is great. If you play the game, you've seen those these panels, you've seen these textures. It's just great to see how it was assembled together. So now right here, bake down trims, unique add-ons, part of trims, set, unique trim part. You have so much stuff going on. It's the same techniques used over and over. And then you have an assembled kit right here, which is glorious. Like it's really, really, really nice. It's so beautiful. And then we have like an example of, oh, actually those are GIFs and they're amazing. So let me play. If it works, let's take a look. So this is a GIF, so an animation of how it's built. And that's fascinating. This is so cool. I love it. Thank you so much for posting that. So this is variation. You have decals, you have, other stuff to make it look unique. But if you see this level, you see that, like, frankly, all the buildings are similar, and then some are broken, and then you have some variation using these techniques. So this is just amazing. So this was the work of some of the work of the first artist, and then let's move on to another level and onto the work of another artist, Pavel Kostecki. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering your name. Pawel Kostecki. Okay, please let me know if it's pronounced differently. But anyway, your work is amazing. We have here another level, the barrack kit, and we can see a beautiful render. So it's very heavy on the wood type, the wood material. Let's see a shot of the interior, and then let's appreciate very nice looking material. So before we go anywhere, I'd like to point out, so we learn how things are done, right? And we understand here at Machine Games, the environment artists are the ones to do the materials. So did they do all the materials? Did they have texture artists, material artists? I personally do not know, but sea tile roof texture was done by Hector Eduardo Silveri. So of course, there's a lot of people working at that studio, but it's very interesting because this is a AAA production. I don't know the size of the team, but in many different, different studios, different practices, and in many AAA studios, the artists, level artists or environment artists, will most likely not do the materials. They will request from specialists, texture artists, and then they might tweak, adapt, request further, further modification. But in many cases, they will not do that themselves. But also in other studios, it's just a different approach to development. And in other studios, they are the ones doing the material, the modeling, and they assemble everything at the end of the day. That's very fascinating, very interesting. So we have the tilables right here, different size to accommodate and to respect the textile density, of course. Barrack kit trims and elements. This is super interesting. And you see with this little language here that this is to be used, like we can see the top, the side and the bottom. This one is not to be used as a visible, like the top shouldn't be visible. It should use as a stack inside a bunch of planks, right? Same for this one. So this is very nice, very clear. We have the heights, and we take for granted that more or less 2 meters. Actually, you see it's less than 2 meters. This is probably the average height, right? Which is slightly under 6 feet. 6 feet 6 actually for 2 meters if we were to convert. So that is 2 meters. That is 4 meters. And then they needed a little bit. That probably is 4.25 or something like that. And we can appreciate like the metric that they use, the metric system, and then we can see it in context. And I like that because you see the blockout that was approved by level designers, and then the artists are replacing those placeholders by very nice looking assets. And if you see for tiling, this plank is not at the edge, it's the middle, so that here it fits perfectly. All right, this is the basics of tiling. So this is why those pieces look like that, because you need to make them tile perfectly. Same principle here. So you see they assemble those parts, and you see that the wood planks are assembled, like very important when you do door frames and stuff like that. You have to think about real life and how it's done, right? It's not one piece of wood. This is, I know it sounds super standard, but I see that with students, like they overlook some basics of if it has to look real, doesn't need to be realistic, but like the style, it doesn't need to be super highly realistic. Even in stylized, it has to make sense, right? Look at any door frame of any style of any architecture. It's built in a certain way. Okay, if it's wood, well, wood doesn't come in 90-degree angles, right? So it's going to be one piece here, one piece there, and one piece here, assembled with nails, glue, or well, most likely nails, or screws. But you have to think about those things. Every part the same. Here, it's not like a super long piece of wood that doesn't make any sense. It's separate pieces. So this is very interesting. Let's go just by this order. Then you see the interior part, attic ceiling modules. Really like to see what they're using as metric. So you see the block out. Then you see exterior walls, different size, different need, and then the exterior wall modules. And you see all the different shapes, probably 4 meters, 2. That's definitely 1, that's 2. Not sure if that's not 3. Doesn't look like it's 50% more. It's 2.5 or something. Or it can be, yeah, I really suspect this is 1, 2, 2.5, and 4. That's more than 4, actually. But anyway, so I did not work on the game, so I don't know, but you can get a good idea. And yeah, usually it's never something random. It's because of the need, it's because of gameplay, it's because of the doors, the doorways, and all these kind of stuff. So here you see the material, the tiling material. So that's great. That's really really good when the environment artists can do tilables, and then they do the modular kit. So they have, it's not just a matter of control or power or whatever. I don't care about that, but like they can themselves go and tweak and make it look exactly how it should. They don't need to wait on someone else. I personally really like this approach. It's good to have specialists on the team, and this is an example where it's all about the wood. But when you have more diversified environments, which this one has 3 very distinct type of material, right here, the roof, the wood, and the plaster concrete. So this is a lot of work, and it's not always possible that the artists themselves do all of that. So it's perfectly fine to have specialists who are doing all the tileable materials and the specific materials also on the side. And then the environment artists are using that. But when they can do some of it, it's really, really good. So now moving on to more modeling information, geometry. And this is for slightly more complex assets. It's still modules, but it's really great to have the wireframe. So you can see how they have some pieces that are destroyed, how they were built. Same here. You see, that is like, this should be studied in colleges and university. This is what you should do as an artist. So you see, this is completely baked with like no geo. There's not even chamfers. There's nothing. It's just perfectly baked. And since it's ceilings, the player won't go in an angle and see that, there's actually no geo here. That's weird. No, they won't be able to tell that. But at the end, though, this is very readable. So they need more geo. They needed to add some polys here so we can see, right? With the light, it's gonna, not just the light actually, the light and the camera going there, it's gonna allow the shape to really shine and really show like, and it like much more details. So this is great, and we see a lot of it. So you see, this is really high quality stuff, and then we see all of that, all of those details. So great to see inside. If it can stay a straight line, we can leave it a straight line. But on the borders, on the edges, you will need more geo. And this is like super optimized, and it's super high quality. Like, look, probably this is the most destroyed, right? So you need the shape here to be, to have this level of geometry, but here it's absolutely straight. This is awesome. And then you see this is the same piece but other angle. Actually, from this angle, both sides are completely straight up until the end, and or even the top on the corners, it's completely straight. This one breaks the hardness, right, of the geometry. And if we look back, it baked very well. Actually, we see that here. Yes, of course we can see it here, but from this one, sorry, from this one, we barely can tell that it's that it's too straight, right? It's kind of too straight. This is what we would tell the students, but it's baked so well that it doesn't matter, because the eye sees sees that level of added geometry. So it reads very, very well. So you should study those. Like, you should, when you work on your environments, you should do your part, which is of course inspired by the great games you see and you play. It should be different. You should use your own materials and stuff. But then, if you're wondering, okay, how do I approach this? Well, here are the answers. Like, this is how you should approach this, right? And you have the bakes here, the sculpts. So yeah, if you were ever wondering how much, is it too much, is it not enough what I'm doing, well, this is the behind the scene. This is step by step how it's done. It's fascinating. It's so great. Now, briefly, we're gonna go to a scaffolding kit, because wood we have seen a lot, but this is the geo part, which is very interesting. Again, you see, it's very simple with very high quality texture. You don't need that much. They're very, very straight, because they're going to be assembled together, right? So the benefit of having multiple planks grouped and baked together as one mesh are getting a nice and smooth transitions between them, and having more contextual texture details. See, like well, those are really, really cool. And they're from Substance Designer, I guess. So adding all of those details is absolutely great, as opposed to this, right? So having all of those detail is absolutely great. And you can see this is as opposed to this one, which is respectfully what we see from students, which is perfectly normal, because that's how you do when you first work with that, right? You bake separately and you put them together. And I mean, it looks very good. If you do a good job with the material, with the texture, it's gonna look good. That's fine. But this looks much better, right? This is the next level. This is really, really awesome. And then that's how you see that they are not working in the dark. They are establishing with level design. How will this work? 1, 2, 3, 4 meters. So you need to accommodate their needs, and you need to make sure that the height is absolutely 3 meters. Like, the collision will be 3 meters, 4 meters, 2 meters, 1 meter. This is where the player will be. So you work so that this makes sense. That is just great. We have another example, last one, the tomb kit. So this is, of course, more stones, and this is maybe um, a bit more complex geo, a little bit more, but not that much. And you see all the baked information. This is just great. And then you have a few pieces that feature heavier destruction and more details like this. This is just awesome. And then you have the wall tilables and decal sheets. So the decal is here with, it's basically an atlas, trim atlas. You know, you can UV, you can unwrap your objects accordingly. Then you have 12 meters high modules, and yeah, you can play mix and match with the stone, so it doesn't seem like it's repeated that much. It's just great. So the kit contains, sorry, the kit consists of 3 different wall heights, 4, 6, and 12 meters. All the modules share the same trim profile, the same trim profiles, tilables, and decal sheet. This is great. So you build, your building blocks, and then you go in the map, and along with the level designers that have approved the block out, you just have fun, and you just do the first pass. Probably everything looks pretty much similar, and then they refine the material, the variation, the decals, and it's just so awesome. Cut from decal sheet, so you see they take pieces, and then this, which looks pretty bland, becomes like this, and you can vary, and this is how you get a very interesting environment. So this is an amazing example. So very basic modules using the tileable textures, and then those pieces which are assembled further along the road. We have the decal sheet here, and yeah, and see the decal sheet is put on the back. This is for presentation sake, I guess, more than anything. Stone material in the back, in the background. That's great. And then you have all the different pieces, add-ons, 4-meter modules. Everything is well organized and very well presented. So this is just awesome. See, this is how you respect textile density, which is the most important thing for an environment artist, which is kind of not taught properly in school, because students hear about it. They're like, okay, I understand the concept, and they never use it. They don't apply it. Not making fun of students. I have the utmost respect for people who spend their time and are hopeful to make it in the industry. I mean, we've all been there at some point, but yeah, this is what matters. Okay, it's not just the wow factor when you show the final render to your friends and they're like, oh my god, that looks epic. Yes, it does, but also it works within the limitations and challenge of creating a game. So what you do in school is build environments that, yes, in some cases are part of a small game, a small team that you work with, which is great, which is what you should be doing. But it's not the same as working on a game with many technical limitations and challenges. So this is the ceiling modules. This will conclude the information that I wanted to show. So this is, let me just stop this guy. This is the work of 2 artists. There are many more who have posted many different things. Hard surface modeling, vehicles, props. This is just because I focus on level and environment, but please go on Artstation. I don't believe it's a formal art blast, but it's just the same. You just scroll and you click on one of those artists like Pawel and like Vytautas, and then you will find in the similar content, you will find others, and it's just amazing. They have way more than these, so go and check these artists, check their work. If you want to give them likes and follow them, that's great. But the point is really to see their content, see their breakdowns, we are so fortunate that we have access to that. So thank you again to the artists and to the studios. It's really fascinating, and this is worth a tuition to many colleges.